Perfect. Alrighty. 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome, we're so excited to have you here on the first installment of the Raha International School chat show. We're here with
Khalid.
Yes, so great to have you here.
It's an honor to be
So
here.
we're just gonna ask you a few questions about being an entrepreneur, being a business leader, and what it really means to you. So who inspires you as an entrepreneur?
I think my main source of inspiration is my family, is my 2 boys and my wife, because everything I do for them. I do to provide them a better life. I do to give them the opportunities that my father didn't have, that I didn't have. So they're a driver for me. Just being able to come home and see them, it sort of gives me purpose. And I think every entrepreneur has to have that sort of, like the jet fuel that goes into them every day, that they get out and they go and they do the things that they want to do to the best of their ability, day in and day out. There are a lot of people that have inspired me in different ways. Sheikh Zayed, Allah yarhamah, how he built this country from basically nothing. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, Oprah Winfrey, how she built this huge media empire, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King. A lot of people throughout history have sort of been sources of inspiration for so many people in the world. But when you talk about the people that inspire me every single day to do better, to be better, to grow, to be the best that I can be, it has to be my family.
All right. How did you get to where you are right now?
Hard work.
Hard work.
There's they say it all the time that there's no substitute for hard work, and as cliche as it might sound, that's true. All right, sure, there are things like connections and wasla and and all those things, but that only gets you so far. All right. For me, it's being able to put in the work every single day. I don't know if you know much about the work that I do, but I produce a video every single day and upload it on Facebook. And I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am today without that work ethic, without that responsibility and promise that I held to myself to do that. All right, because the thing that I've learned through life, no matter what your career is, no matter what it is that you want to do in life, whether it's school, whether it's university, whether it's a role as a leader of a school, hard work is going to get you through any problem that comes. Because when it comes to any of the problems that you face in life, all right, whether you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is that you're doing, if you put in the work, it's only a matter of time before you solve the problem, before you overcome whatever it is. If you're having a problem in one of your classes, if you put in the work, it's only a matter of time. Okay, maybe for some people it takes longer than others, but you get there eventually. So I wouldn't be where I am today, for sure, if it wasn't due to the work ethic that I have and I instilled in myself and that my father instilled in me when he was growing up in his career. Because with hard work, everything becomes possible.
Yeah.
I feel like with a lot of your content, you really inspire people to do better. But did you have some sort of defining moment that changed your perspective on everything?
There was a defining moment for me, and it has to go back to my time in university. We as people in this part of the world, I feel that opportunities and careers are somewhat finite. So if you're someone like me, you're expected to be an engineer, you're expected to be an accountant, you're laughing already, an accountant, you're expected to be something in that field. But for me, my skill set was always based on creating. I was good in art in school, I was good in music, I was good in theater, and I was good at just, telling stories. What kind of careers am I going to get that? Like, I'm going to just dance for the rest of my life? See, we laugh about it, but why not? All right? So for me, the defining moment was when I actually left the UAE and I was studying in the States. And I was doing a course on the entertainment industry. And we got a visit from someone who was the job title that they had. So this was a job. It was the chief storytelling officer. And of Pixar, the company that does all. And everyone was just like, yes, like all the, the Americans and Westerners in there, they were just like, yeah, and I'm sitting there, that typical Arab going, that's a job. Like someone gets paid to do that. And it was only when I left sort of the bubble that we live in that I was able to see that no matter what field that you're in, if you're able to excel at it, to put your time and effort into it every day and to become really good, that there's someone who's willing to sort of pay you for that skill, no matter what it is. And for me, that told me, just listening to that person and realizing that, there is the jobs and the opportunities and whatever you want to create for yourself is infinite rather than finite. That's when I said, let me come back to Abu Dhabi and let me try different things that I'm good at. Because previously, I'd only been doing stuff that I wasn't good at, but it was expected. And I sucked. Like, it would take me, I never understood what was going on half the time. I was lucky. And I was just always on edge because, one, it wasn't a career I was supposed to be in, and two, I wasn't even good at it. Which makes no sense. It's like you're doubling down on your misery. So not only do you want to be miserable, you want to even suck at being miserable. I was just like, it never made sense to me. So I had to leave that bubble. So for any students here, any of your classmates, yourselves, don't be limited by what you think the typical career is. The typical career is whatever you're good at and you're willing to put in, as I previously said, the work to become great at it. Then you create the opportunities rather than sit and wait for an opportunity to come to you.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned earlier about having that hard work to overcome those obstacles. Through your career, what were the biggest obstacles you had to face?
There are sacrifices to be made no matter what.
Yeah.
But for me, the biggest one was quitting my job. Quitting my job to do what I wanted to do the things that I loved that wasn't paying me at the time. But I knew that I just felt it inside me that if I was to put in the effort, that something might happen. Maybe it wouldn't be the exact way that I pictured it, but something good has to happen. Inshallah. So for me, leaving my job with a mortgage and 2 kids in school was probably the hardest thing I ever had to do. Because you're really like, a lot of people when they quit their job, they say like, they think that it's the next day that you actually start to freak out because I don't have a job anymore. It's actually at the end of the first month when you don't get that message that your salary has been put in your account. Because then, you see it going minus, but you're paying your bills, but you don't see it going up the way it used to. And you freak out. But, for me, it was something that my dad taught me at a very young age, is that, like, I never saw him stressed, right? My dad was like the most chilled out guy in the world. And I always used to ask him, like, why do you not stress? He's like, I just work. I don't have time. Like, you stress out when you don't work. So my counter to the hardest decision I had to make and all the fear that came with it was just working through it. Because when you're working, your mind is focused on what you need to do rather than what will happen if you don't do anything.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, obviously it's worked out great for you in your career. You've had such amazing success in your field. Have you always wanted to be a vlogger, an entertainer, a content creator? Because it's kind of an out there career, like you said. And
yeah, always. So when I was a kid, my superheroes were Jim Carrey and Robin Williams. Or for lack of a better description would be, Ace Ventura and Mrs. Doubtfire. They were like I love, like, for me, even like in fancy dress and stuff when we were kids in school, dress up as Ace Ventura, you know, with the shirt and the pants and all that stuff. I had a great childhood, but I was always having a hard time at school not understanding what was going on. I wasn't smart, like I didn't understand things. But I would come home and I would put on like Ace Ventura and Mrs. Doubtfire, and that was my day made, you know. I'm laughing again. That was a superpower to me, you know, the ability to make me happy even when I wasn't. And, you know, I remember my mom used to always tell me that, like, the way I would, like, come back home and, like, act out how my class went or act out how my teacher got angry at something, you know, she always said that it was sort of captivating, like I was able to sort of hold the audience. And it was just something, alhamdulillah, I was blessed with, but something that I ignored for my whole life, even though I knew that's what I could have done. I always loved to write, I always loved theater, I always loved, you know, the ability to connect with people and counter a narrative and inform people through entertainment. So a lot of my vlogs, as much as they're informative, I feel that there's a big part of entertainment embedded into them. And it's something that's always been inside me. And the advice that I would learn from that is if I could go back to when I was in grade 11, grade 12, I would have doubled down on that stuff. I really would have. And I would have gone to acting classes, I would have gone to singing classes, I would have learned how to take better, you know, videos and better cameras, better pictures and stuff like that. Because, you know, I feel when we silence that voice, you know, we do ourselves a disservice. Like we're ignoring what we're good at and what we'd love to do.
I mean, we've been asking a lot of the hardships it took to come to your job. But how about I ask, what are the exciting things about your job?
Just like telling a story every day. You know, always against the clock. Like right now I'm sitting here thinking I'm like someone's editing the video and then we gotta go back and edit the next video. Then we have to film at some point today, so it's just my brain is always working. And I feel like if I'm always working, I'm always getting better. Meeting new people, you know, having like, for me there's no, at least in this stage of my career, when a video sort of, you know, goes viral, it's not the virality, it's not the millions of views on a video that gets it. It's when someone says, I had a negative view of the Arab world, or something of that nature. Someone says, I lived in, you know, middle of America and I'm visiting the UAE this summer just from watching one. That is enormous to me. That is the most meaningful thing, because I can leave this world tomorrow and those videos will still be there impacting people. And to know that it could have that effect is just incredibly rewarding.
What you're doing is so incredible, and I know you're an inspiration for millions of people around this country. But obviously there must be some difficult parts of your job for you. What do you find difficult? Well,
another vlogger you know, told me that daily vlogging will be the best thing you do and the worst thing you do. The best thing you do in terms of, you know, everything that we've created through this journey. The worst thing is just that it takes over your life. Like I said, I'm sitting here listening to you, and in the pauses I'm thinking about the video. I'm all thinking about how from now, my first day off from now will be next Friday. I have no time off at all. I'm thinking about how I have 2 events in this day, how am I going to film? I'm thinking about, I didn't see my kids yesterday. I didn't see them the day before, but I'm going to see them this afternoon, but I have to go to Dubai for a radio show. So I told you I do a video every day.
Yeah.
So my day never ends. But you know when the weekend comes and you're just like, oh, and just, you know, I can just sit back. I don't ever get that feeling, ever. And it's exhausting, but it's a decision that I made and I need to stick to it and see it through.
I mean, where your Facebook page is right now, you're rising and doesn't look like it's going to stop. How do you see yourself in the next 10 years? What does it give to you?
You see, that question I feel is incredibly outdated. You know, to ask someone where they see themselves in 5 years, see themselves in 10 years. I don't even know what I'm gonna have for lunch. The world is changing so fast today that for anyone to answer that question, you'd probably be wrong. All right? If I had to answer that question, there's no way I would see myself here. 2 years ago, I was sitting in a cubicle, staring at a computer for 9 hours a day. And now 2 years later, I'm basically just a guy with a camera. And like, for me, I don't want to limit myself to that vision. I have goals. I have goals of where I want my pages to reach. I have goals of how I want to grow in terms of my creative process and the videos that I do. But, you know, in terms of like a solid position, I don't know. And I'm at peace with that. Because I open myself up to the world, I open myself up to possibilities, I open myself up to the adventures that are out there. Because a lot of people it's like you put these limitations on yourself because I have this 5 years where I want to be manager here. And khalas, that becomes your North Star, your guiding light. And then, you know, a great opportunity comes, shut up. You know, I want to travel, shut up. I don't want to do any of that. This is where I need to be, 5-year vision. And it happened to me. But you can get so locked in on that vision of 5 years or 10 or whatever you see yourself or wherever you think you need to be, that better opportunities for a better job could come. The person you love, the person who loves you or that you could fall in love with come into your life, but they don't fit into that plan. You know, you miss all that stuff out and you ignore it because you were so locked into something you thought was the best thing in the world for you. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I feel when you shut things off and you lock things off and you don't open yourself up to the world, you miss out on so much.
I think that's a great message for everyone really to take into heart, that they need to live in the present moment and just focus on being the best that they can.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we've been so fortunate to have you on our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you
very much.
I can't wait to episode 2.
Yeah. We're so excited to be hosting this talk show focusing in on entrepreneurship and business leadership.
Be sure to watch out for our upcoming episodes where we interview fascinating guests.